Anyone who's ever wanted to start making a YouTube channel knows that the biggest barrier to entry, apart from actually just being able to sit down and do it and say, right, this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to start it. Once you've got past that, the next thing, and I see this a lot of times, and I know I've done it, where you worry about what camera am I going to use, what microphone will I use, editing, lighting, all these things that can put you off. I'm using the iPad Pro 11-inch, which currently starts around £769 in the UK. Obviously, you can get a normal iPad for about half that price. The iPad is an all-in-one system. It's got everything I need, so why can't I do it? Might not have the best quality. I can see now that there's a bit of noise in this image. You know, it's not a DSLR. I haven't got depth of field, but you can hear me, you can see me, and there's creative ways that I can do things that'll maybe make the quality a little bit better over time. So I can do that. This is all about just starting. So let's get right into it and see how it goes. I used an app called Canva to create my logo for my YouTube channel. I'm not a designer in any way, shape or form. When I have a bit more time, I'll be able to create something a bit better. I use the Notes app for writing the script, but you could of course just use paper and pen. I also signed up directly using Safari on the iPad for this very YouTube channel. In iOS 13, YouTube finally doesn't take you to the app. You can go to youtube.com and use it as a normal website. So I'm going to explore the difference between the front and rear facing cameras. I have done some tests. I can see by looking at the screen, it looks noisy, but it does make my skin, you can't see all the flaws, which I do like. I haven't got any kind of filter on this. And it does look okay. This is a test of the rear camera. I don't know if it makes a difference with it being on the side because the microphone's covered up. So I'm just speaking now to test the audio. I'm about a metre away from the camera. So after doing a little bit of testing with the front and rear camera, I'm probably going to stay with the front facing camera because it has a number of benefits, such as I can see the screen. I know it's difficult for me because I don't want to be looking at the screen, but it means I can see it's in focus because some of the rear facing, I've filmed some video and I couldn't see that it's out of focus. So this to me works better. I know it's slightly higher quality on the rear facing camera, but to me at the moment, starting this YouTube channel, it's not enough of a difference. So one awkward setup I have at the moment is I'm just using a little table. I've got a stack of my Doctor Who DVDs. My iPad is literally resting on its bezel, which is very dangerous because it could fall at any moment and smash. You can get like a little stand that you put it in to put it on a tripod. So maybe in the future it's something I'll invest in, but right now I'm just going with what I've got. It works. So it's free. I do own a DSLR. It's a little temperamental. That's part of the reason I'm not using it. But it's also a hassle to set up and get all the settings right and everything when sometimes you just want to be able to sit down, press a button, start recording and go. Lighting, of course, I know will have a dramatic effect on this video. I've got a window, that's all I want to use at the moment. I do have a lighting set that I had from years ago. I know if I had beauty lights here now or a ring light and I had my background lit up, it would look a lot better. That's not what I'm doing here. It's about using what I've got. The iPad Pro comes with 5 microphones. One of them is currently covered up because it's resting on it. I'm not sure exactly how many microphones or which microphones it uses when it's recording this audio. If somebody could let me know in the comments, that'd be great. I did look on Apple's website. It doesn't tell you exactly what microphone does what. I think one of them's a Siri microphone. There's a microphone on the back. I assume that's for if you're using the back facing camera. Hopefully by me having the iPad resting on one of the microphones, it doesn't affect the audio. I know in the settings it says it does dual, it does stereo audio recording. So I have done some little tests that we'll look at now just to see how the microphone sounds. Just really talking a lot now to see how the sound is. I've got a lot of construction work going on outside. So I don't know if you'll pick that up. This is a test of my front facing camera. Is the audio clear? I don't know. So this is now a test of the audio using the front facing camera on my iPad. But I do realise that I can also, in the future, get a microphone, and the closer you are to the microphone, it usually sounds better. So here I'm holding up my iPhone using the Voice Memos app, and I want to just compare the difference. So this is using the iPad's audio. This is using the iPhone's audio. I don't know the difference between, say, having my iPhone here. Would it be clearer just for future? Is it clearer on my iPad now? Is there less noise using my iPhone? I'm not sure until I edit this video, but that's the fun of editing, isn't it? Yes, it is. Good idea. I like it. That's great. So is this clearer using my iPhone? Because I'm not going to make a video where I would hold my iPhone here, but I wonder if just as a difference for future. Also, I must apologise for my horrendously old computer and my background, but this is all about starting out. Maybe as time goes on, we'll upgrade things. I don't know. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Who cares? Not you. It's now been around 24 hours since I filmed my video, and I've been editing it ever since. I used an app called LumaFusion by LumaTouch, and it's definitely the best editing app on the iPad. It's currently #1 in the App Store for editing, and it cost me around $17.99 when I first bought it around a year ago, and it's now about $28.99 for a one-off cost, which sounds a lot, especially when we're used to getting everything for free. But versus something like Adobe Creative Cloud, if you get one app such as Premiere Pro, that costs around £30 a month. If it's a one-off payment, if you commit to a year, then it's £20 a month. If you get the whole of Creative Cloud, it's £50 a month. And if you're a student, obviously it's a lot cheaper. But I mean, LumaFusion versus something like Adobe Premiere Pro is a lot cheaper. I have always wondered though why Apple has never made Final Cut Pro available for the iPad. I've never been a fan of Final Cut Pro. I've always preferred Premiere Pro. But it does make me wonder, what Apple could do if they actually put Final Cut Pro on the iPad. They do offer iMovie, which is really good for basic editing, but it's very, very limited. LumaTouch has many plus points. The video preview is buttery smooth. There's no buffering. It has all the tools you need for importing from multiple sources, including external hard drives, cloud storage, Dropbox, Google Drive, anything you need to do. You can do that. You can just do it. You can create text, add motion, add transitions, use keyboard shortcuts for speeding up your editing process. If you hold down the command on the iPad, it shows you all of those, and some really handy ones, such as Command B, which I discovered you can use for cutting, which really helps. I think the issues I have come from the fact I've learned over many years to edit in Premiere Pro, and the difference from coming from a mouse and keyboard versus touch is hard to get used to. I remember before I could use Premiere, I used to use Sony Vegas, and that was a learning curve going from that to Premiere. So I think maybe it's just something that over time with Luma I could get used to it. There's probably a lot more I can talk about on this, so maybe in the future I'll make a video about editing on the iPad or about LumaFusion. If that's something you'd be interested in, do let me know. Many thanks. Editing at the moment seems to take a little bit longer, but hopefully over time I can learn more shortcuts and my speed will increase. It's now been about 48 hours and I'm definitely a lot faster than I was when I first started editing. Cameras. The quality is definitely not as good as something like a DSLR. The image can be a little bit noisy. Over time, I'm going to experiment with lighting, see if that improves it. But as a point and shoot, it's good for me because it means I can just press record and go. All the footage is on the iPad, ready to edit. Also, the audio isn't great. I'm only using my AirPods because the new iPad uses USB-C and I don't have like a connection to use some decent earphones. I know when I turn the volume up, when it hasn't got my earphones in, I can hear there's a little bit of noise. There's no important camera footage. It's fast editing, smooth timeline. There's no multi-device setup. Things are really simple. It comes with a massive ready-made viewfinder so I can see when it's in focus. I could not believe how fast this video exported. I know on a PC it would take a lot longer to render, so that was definitely a big plus. I think in the future I'll maybe make another video to see how I'm getting on, what I've really noticed as it goes in depth once iOS 13 is fully released to the public, because obviously at the moment there are some minor bugs and they might be having an impact on the product. Wow, I can't believe everything we've just discovered there during the editing process. Really amazing stuff. The way I like to think about it is if you were to give, say, the world's best camera to a complete novice like me, doesn't necessarily mean that I would create a blockbuster movie. But on the flip side, if you were to give, say, an iPhone 4 to the world's best movie director, they could probably create something quite special. What I'm trying to say here is technology isn't everything, and that fear of not having all the right equipment when you start a YouTube channel shouldn't be something that puts you off. It should be something that you aspire to in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It's my first ever video on this channel. I know it's probably not the best quality video you've ever seen, but it's a starting point, and I'm going to make as many videos as I can. I'm really interested in Apple products, software, Xbox hardware. I am a gamer, but I probably won't be talking about games. I really like electric cars. I really want a Tesla Model 3, and maybe in the future I can get to the point where I can afford one. I know it might never happen, but that's my goal. And I think you've got to have goals in life where you set yourself a goal, and I think that's the thing I'm going to really work towards. So if you'd like to subscribe, I'd appreciate it. If not, that's fine. Maybe in the future you'll find me again, and then you'll be like, oh, that's that guy that made that terrible, terrible video. And I was like, you are the worst. But now you're like, oh yeah, he's got better. So if you'd like to join the journey now and see how far I go, that's great. Me and you together. Nobody's watching. Who are you talking to? I'm gonna go. Lots of love. Goodbye. Smash like.